Welcome to Around the Rinks, your go-to hockey podcast.
We are back. Another episode Around the Rinks. I'm Noah, joined by Brendan, Liam, and Reece. Kylie's gone. She's gone to watch a movie or something. Or, sorry, she's taken by the cartel. Of course.
Another member.
Don't worry, they'll give her back in 45 seconds because they're tired of her shit.
Yeah, but whoa, what a weekend. Like, I don't know about you guys, but this is probably the most screen time I've had on Twitter since last July 1st. So it is crazy how much is going on. Extremely yesterday, July 1st, Canada Day. It's my favorite day, not because it's Canada's birthday, but it's free agent frenzy. It's insane.
I think the word you just used, you said frenzy, and that's the perfect word to describe what happened yesterday.
I mean, it broke records. It is a record-breaking day. $1.2 billion was spent yesterday in total. So great for the league, great for the players. Money is being sent. Money is getting passed around all over the place. It's a great sign. And with the cap going up.
The first 2 hours, it was 850-some million already. Like,
we're in
nuts.
We're in an economic downturn right now. You know, housing crisis doesn't matter. NHL hockey, 1.2 billion. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Like, even like the compare from the last 3 years, 2023, we only saw 403 mil.
Wow.
2022, 590, and 2021, 666.
That's crazy. That's a
blowing
lot.
it out of the water. That's blowing it out of the water.
And
finally, the cap going up again.
Mm-hmm.
And like just
There's
some massive deals, massive players moving around.
Yeah.
Like, so to kind of give a brief summary of how this episode is going to go, we are going to go alphabetical order, team by team. We're going to break down what they did, including the draft and all the deals on free agent frenzy. I mean, it's just Noah's going to quarterback this episode. Yeah. He's in charge.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, the draft also happened like Friday. Like it's a week. It's been a week since Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
That feels like so long ago.
It feels like it feels like so long ago. It's been 8 days.
Shout out to Florida for having the worst victory parade of all time. Shout out.
I don't think it was that bad,
buddy. It was pouring rain.
Paul Maurice brought it all together with that speech.
Great speech. But it was pouring rain. It was maybe seven people were there. So you know what? Florida, fuck off.
My favorite moment from that was Ekblad with the pylon on his head and saying "fuck you, Brooks Koepka."
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Genius. I love that so much. I wonder what he's up to. Probably on a beach somewhere, or maybe he's with Liv. I don't know.
Making tons of money. That's all he's doing.
Hundreds of $1 million. Yeah.
Right,
but yeah, we're gonna start for the first team, the Anaheim Ducks. They did absolutely shit all for free agency. They have $20 million of cap space. $20 million. Like, this is Arizona Coyotes 2.0 kind of thing. They actually need to sign players because they need at least they're under the floor. They're under the cap floor. So I think it's about $11 million they need to spend to be able to be above the line.
They were last year with Zegras, and like, oh yeah, we're not paying you that. Blah, blah. And they sit here with 20-some million. It's like, why not just give this away? Like,
they got new jerseys though, so that's really nice. Good for them.
True. The jerseys are sick.
I'll
give them
nice
that.
Next season, but they're gonna have no.
Spent all the money on the jerseys.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not super high on the jerseys.
Me neither. No.
I don't like them.
I like him. I like him.
I like orange.
I think that it was just like a little bit. It looks like they literally just threw it in a blender, and they're like, "Oh, whoa, look at this!" Like,
well, compared to the jerseys they already had, I feel it's 100 times better. The logo, especially, yeah. I mean, I think the Ducks had the worst logo in the league.
Yeah. In terms of Anaheim, though, the only thing they really did was in the draft, right?
Yeah. They made definitely headlines there by, taking a guy I had ranked 12th in my list, and most insiders and whatnot had ranked 13th, but Bennett Seneca, out of nowhere, out of the OHL, did not see this guy going in the top 5, let alone the top 3.
He didn't see
Third
himself
overall.
going in the top 3.
Great
That reaction.
Great
The
reaction.
reaction. Oh, you can see if you can read his lips, you know what he's saying. He said, "Holy shit,
So
holy
give me a
fuck!"
brief
Like
rundown. Like
out
so
of nowhere.
what did Anaheim see in him that made them pick him so high up?
Well, he just kind of has it all. He's a player that he's not like fully gifted offensively, but he's great. He's great two-way game, which I guess the Ducks has higher priority over other forwards in this draft. Extremely like Demidov and Lindstrom, but
He
yeah,
definitely
I did not see him being the second ranked forward.
like he's what 6'3", right?
Yeah, he's
And
a big kid.
he's, like, it doesn't even look like he's done growing. Like he's still like pretty slim, and like
Mhm.
from any of those highlights that I've seen of him, he does not look afraid to attack 2D men like coming up the ice. Like
Mhm.
yeah, I think he's got a lot of upside for like somebody that was. I mean, you obviously have to be if you're picked third overall, but like for somebody that was sitting so far back on the draft board, I think he's definitely a shocker.
Yeah, extremely. If you're looking for size, Caden Lindstrom goes right after, right? And that kid's a bull. So other than that, the Ducks did trade for Brian Dumoulin for a fourth from Seattle.
Are there any players?
Kind of a nothing.
Are there any players you think they will try to go for?
No,
There's
honestly,
still
if
still a lot
anything,
available.
if anything, they're selling.
Okay.
They're going to bring in veterans, probably try to find maybe some young players on free agency.
Go get
But-
Yamamoto. Yamamoto's available. Go get him.
Mm-hmm.
He'll look nice in
There's
orange.
The trade talks of John Gibson have gone fully down though. Like I saw no teams are interested in him, and that's a guy if you traded 2-3 years ago, you would have got so much value for him. All the value. Like he was the top goalie. Like you're able to trade for.
Sometimes teams they hold on to those players who you need
bit
them.
too long.
You know, you need them to benefit your current day, but you know they would also help you so much tomorrow if you moved them on and got the money for them. But that's the risk, right? That's the gamble you take. You look at Florida, they have 35-year-old Bobrovsky, and he's still doing the job. So it's a roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess we're gonna go east. We're just gonna go alphabetical here for all the teams. So Boston is next. I almost said Arizona, but they're not a team. Boston, they made some big splashes. I'm a big fan of what they did in Elias Lindholm. I think he's going to be a perfect fit there. A great two-way center, and you know how two-way centers do great in Boston. Look at Bergeron, right?
Well, and
So,
he's also showing that he can play with Gaudreau and Kachuk, like elite line mates, and he produced at a level that we've never really seen again. So who knows what he can do with Pasternak and whoever else you want to toss out there with him.
Mm-hmm. And I don't hate the 7 years. Like he's only 29 years old, so he's still right in his prime. It's kind of like probably the bare maximum I'd like to give a 7-year deal to take him up to 36. So pretty much right at the tail end of his career there. But yeah, I think he's going to do great. Nikita Zadorov also goes to Boston. Holy smokes, this Boston blue line is scary. Like the immediate thought, the 6 years at $5 million per. It's not the worst. Again, he's also 29 years old, but my immediate reaction to that is like, imagine Zadorov and Brendan Carlo on the same pairing.
After you just had to deal with Boy and Lindholm.
Yeah. That Boston team is going to be such a prick to go against.
Yeah.
They always are, though. They always are a hard team
they always
to play
are.
Against.
Yeah, the big bad Bruins. Other than that, they didn't really bring in too much. I don't think they're done. I think they still need to fill up that forward core.
It did make that Allmark for
True. Oh yeah, I guess we can. Did we bring that up? I don't even remember.
I'm not 100% sure.
Because it was before Game 7. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe repeating.
The weird warm up trade. Honestly, we could not. Like, we might just be forgetting because so much happened. But yeah, Allmark's gone. Swayman is still in discussions. Apparently, they're not close to a contract yet, but they got the whole summer to deal with that. He's gonna make a lot of money.
They
Yeah,
did. They
he
did let
must have
DeBrusque
arbitration
go.
right. Yeah,
They did let go of DeBrusque, which I think I kind of saw that coming.
I know a lot of people
'Cause they-
thought Edmonton was going to be in the mix for him, and I think they maybe would have if Cap was more friendly to them, but he ends up in Vancouver. We'll talk about that more when we get to Vancouver, but I like what Vancouver's doing. I hate to say that. Do you
Just
want
sticking in the beat? Oh, sorry, what?
Buffalo Sabres?
Buffalo
Not much.
didn't do much. Jason Zucker, 1 year, $5 million. Other than that, I don't understand. I feel like they should have been a little more aggressive. Their team almost kind of they should have done what Ottawa's doing. A team like Ottawa or even like Washington, like trying to just go all in and trying to make the playoffs. Like this team hasn't seen the playoffs in so long.
Seriously,
Like I haven't seen
for so long and just like so close, but just like trails off right at the end. You'd think they'd start to like really want to put these guys together, especially after trading Casey Middlestat.
Yeah, right. Just trading a piece like that, who had a great year with him.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because he's young enough that you'd think you'd be able to keep him.
Yeah,
and stay with that core. But what do I know? Other than that, we're just podcasters here. But we're gonna go to your guys' favorite team, the Calgary Flames.
They did okay, I think.
I think they're fully committed to this rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say this first: they had an amazing draft.
Okay.
And it was almost like I'd say if for like top tier talent, no, of course they're not going to be like the Celebrinis or top 5 pick or whatever. But all around, they took pretty much the best player in the draft every single time, or best player on the board, because there's so much off the board picks and whatnot. So down deep in the
He's gone. See you, Noah.
Oh,
he's back.
I'm back.
The one thing I was going to mention in terms of the Calgary Flames in their draft, they did not get Jerome McGinley's son, and that's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Just heartbreaking.
That is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking.
Okay, let it happen.
I wanted. I really wanted. But you know, Utah souped him away.
They got booed. I liked it.
But yeah, they picked up Mantha. I like that deal. It's a 1-year deal. You could probably flip him at deadline for some good piece. Yeah, exactly. Sharon Govich extension. That one's a big one. Like 5 years, 5.750.
For a guy that came over in his first season, he had like 20 plus goals. Like he was pretty productive on a pretty boring and unproductive Calgary team. Like I think 5.75 for 5 years. Like he's not that old. I think that's a good contract. We'll see where they're at in 5 years.
I agree. I feel like that's good. Other than that, there's not much Calgary. You know, they're going to stay quiet, of course. I think they're officially in this rebuild stage, you can say. Most of their core is gone. There's a lot of trade rumors for Nazem Kadri.
Do you think they took positive steps, though, in terms of the rebuild?
Oh, I think so. I think definitely. I think they got a great return on Markstrom. And I think they've gotten great returns on all their players. So they definitely learned from Kachuk and Gaudreau, all that situation. And I think they're fully committed to this rebuild. Hopefully Huberdeau has a bounce back season. I'd like to see that from him, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Moving on to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina. Well, they get one of the best offensive defensemen, I think. One of the most underrated offensive defensemen in Shane Gostisbehere. This guy is sneakily, like, really good on the power play. He showed it off in Detroit, and he's just kind of been bouncing around the league in this last couple of years now. But I think that's a great pickup for them. Extremely just try to bolster up that power play more.
Yeah, and I mean, like, for them to go and you lose Pesci and you lose... Who's the other defenseman they lost? Shea, yeah.
British Shea, yeah.
And then you go and scramble, right? Most teams would be screwed if you lose two of your top four defensemen, and then all of a sudden they go and grab Gostisbehere and Walker, and like everything's all fine in Carolina. Like,
and I love the Walker deal.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sad that they got him.
Talk to me about the re-signing of Slavin. 8-year deal. Slavin. He's 8-year deal, but he's 30 years old already. It's a big contract to put on an old man already.
If you want to keep the player, you got to give him the money, and you got to give him the term. He's your superstar defenseman. He is probably, if not one of the best, like shutdown defensemen in the league.
I agree.
He deserves it all. And who knows? He seems like a player who could play up until his late 30s, right?
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, he is one of those guys where his play just translates forever. Like that gapping, all that kind of thing. Like he can manage that for the rest of his career, probably. Maybe he's not up against the number ones for the rest of for all 8 years of that, but I think he'll still be a fairly productive defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
And worst case, long-term injury, stuff it away, and thanks for your service, sir.
Thanks for your service. Purple heart for that guy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Moving on to one of the more interesting teams in this year because of where they are in the draft is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Chicago, Connor Bedard.
Yep.
They are making a gritty team in Chicago. Like a gritty-ass team.
I like it, actually.
I mean, this team is a lot better than the team that was surrounding McDavid his second year. Like, I think they've got a lot of, like, veterans that know their way around the thing. Like, I mean, some of these contracts, like, they're doing what Anaheim kind of should have done is, like, here, take it, TJ Brody, here's a bunch of money. Like, it is, they don't really care, but I think that's the best way to do it. You add a guy like Teravainen to your top six. Like, that's a huge one. He's a good two-way. Like, I think it's really good. Pat Maroon going over there. It's one of the best locker room guys in the NHL.
I love Patty Maroon. Like when he left Edmonton, it was a loss. I think people didn't realize how much it was going to affect that team. I think
the big rig.
Everyone loves the big rig.
But yeah, I mean,
and then also bring in Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Like, slot right in the top six. I think he's a player who can score 20, 30 goals a season, and he scores those types of goals that every coach loves.
Seriously.
And yet another guy that's gonna protect Bedard out there. Like this Chicago team, I can't, like, Nick Foligno's there too. Jason Dickinson, he's a prick to go against. Of course, Pat Maroon. It just, the list goes on and on and on. Like Seth Jones, he's always in the face. Alec Martinez is there too now, another veteran presence.
Do you think
this Chicago team?
I'll pick Levashinov. Is that how you say him?
Yep.
Do you think he's gonna play next year, or do you think he's gonna stay for a year?
I think he's gonna stay committed in Michigan for one more season.
I have no idea. I don't even know if he's
probably. Yeah, he's a Belarusian playing in Michigan State.
Crazy.
Love it.
We love that.
And he's another guy that, like, all the defensemen in this draft were like, any of them can go 2 or 3. Like, they're all so close together. It just depends if you want a left-handed, right-handed, offensive, defensive.
And I mean, for a guy because he's like 6'7", right? Like, he's huge.
You're thinking of the other one.
My bad.
But this is the right-handed defenseman, Michigan. There's God, Russian names are so hard to say. But another one that's 6'7".
Yeah, no, that's the guy that I'm talking about. But I mean, this is so much upside on him. Like, and I mean, you add all they're doing is adding this super young core around Bedard. Like, and you look at those prospects and Nazar and Moore and like all of their picks from this year. Like, they're going to be a wagon in a couple of years.
Wagon. Now, here's a weird team because the Colorado is in pretty much the worst cap situation. Colorado is in the worst cap situation out of any team in the league.
Maybe ever.
Probably ever, because
they It's
They're
almost
gonna have-
impressive how tough they've put themselves in here. Like you have to
Right?
try to be that tight against the cap.
Of course, they have like a lot of big name who we don't even know what's going on with Nikushkin or Landeskog because who knows if he's playing, right? I know he sounds like he might want to, but he might never play again. I don't know. He's just such a weird player that we just don't really know what's going on with him.
And I mean, I think every single Colorado Avalanche fan is just holding their breath on Nichushkin. Like, losing him is so huge to that team. Like, when he was in those playoffs this year, he was leading in goals. Like, he was dominating Dallas. And then they lose him, and it's nothing.
It's over.
Team.
It looked like the year prior.
Yeah.
Where they lost to Seattle. Nikushkin's a big part of that team, and pretty much all they did so far in this free agency is extend Drouin. I think that's a pretty good pickup. He's your pure playmaker who has some great chemistry with McKinnon. So
they brought
other than that, that's
they signed Brandstrom from Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like,
young guy.
Crazy, but he was first round pick to Vegas a few years ago. Like, who knows? Maybe he finds his touch around Makar or something like that. But I think he's more kind of guy.
Those are the type of players they have to try to get.
Literally,
they can't afford a lot, and so their roster might look a little thin down in the bottom 6 and bottom 2.
But I'm sure that they'll be 100% adding at the deadline.
Can you get an official sponsor, please, to fix Noah's internet? Like, how much? What do we need here? Like, can we? I'm willing to sell something to fix his internet.
I know it's tough.
I'll give you a kidney. Okay.
I'm rural Alberta. It's tough out here.
Figure it out. Let's go to somewhere who is basically rural. It's Columbus Blue Jackets.
Ohio. They made a weird signing.
Yep.
Because Sean Monahan is
Sean Monahan.
He's an amazing player. Don't get me wrong. 5 years is risky.
It
is risky.
I saw that he had signed to Columbus, and I didn't look at the years or the AAV or anything, and I'm just looking at this now. This is banana lands. Be paying him and Goodbranson and Severson, however much they're going to be paying him, that's probably like $20 million right there between those three guys. 5 years from now, like all those contracts go. That is insane.
Don't get me wrong. I think the 5.5 is fair for Monahan. Extremely like how he's been for the last 2 seasons. It's a risk. Those 5 years.
Been long.
3 years would have been long.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, he gave him 2 more for fun. What? Why?
What's the thought process? Like, is the thought process from their GM maybe like why give him that contract?
Johnny
Gaudreau agent said, "I'm not signing unless it's less." Or if
him and Johnny Gaudreau have some magical chemistry together, and I think they're just trying to get Johnny hockey working again. That's pretty much it.
What a beautiful scenic route for those two, drafted in Calgary, and they end up in Columbus. It's 2 of the best places to play in the NHL.
I'm sure they're not too different.
They're both
honestly.
Yeah.
At least Calgary's got some
you have mountains.
To look at. Exactly. But they have no water, so you take some, you lose some.
Mm-hmm. Do you know the state tax in Ohio?
Oh yeah.
Like, is it even like attractive in that way? I don't even know.
I know a lot of things, but I don't know the state tax of Ohio.
But yeah, speaking of a state tax-free like destination, we're going to Dallas, where
everything's
Dallas
bigger.
is gonna do it again. I don't know. So they made a couple moves on defensemen with Matt Dumba and Lyubushkin. I don't know how I feel about these deals. They're both bottom pairing defensemen, and you got them locked up pretty much $7 million in total between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of cap hit.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather keep Suter.
Yep.
At that point, I'd rather keep Suter.
And I mean, especially like you look at Dumba, like it's not like I was super impressed with his 1 round of playoffs last year.
No.
And Tampa gave up a 7th for him. Like, this is not, he was not a hot commodity. Like, I don't know if his stock has completely raised or what, but it seemed like they were kind of hitting panic mode a little bit. Like,
I agree. Dad, I feel so bad for Niels Lundqvist, who gets another contract, but that guy's not going to play any hockey, like, ever again. Maybe he played an average of like 5 minutes each game during the playoffs.
He's getting paid to hang out. Basically, it's a great deal for him.
Yeah.
I honestly still see potential in him, and I think he was a bit of a scapegoat for a little bit of that playoffs. I mean, obviously, like, it's not like all of it was thrown at him, but there were so many times people are referring to that one clip where he got beat wide, and I mean, that sucks. But I think he could be pretty good one day. It's just, like, not right now in the playoffs all the time. And I mean, like, they shouldn't even had him in that position if they weren't going to play 4 minutes a game, sort of thing.
Yeah,
well, I'm surprised Dallas made so many moves. I mean, I didn't think they were a million miles away from being a Stanley Cup contending team, and like you said, they seem to hit the panic button, and I don't understand why they hit that panic button as much as they did.
I think, honestly, just with those 2 deals, I like Duchesne signing $3 million.
That's
again,
great.
Unreal. And I think Colin Blackwell, sneaky. I think that's a sneaky good pickup.
I mean, league men.
Like, yeah. I think they're going to be sick again, but I mean, that Dumba, it's going to suck when you have to try and make a move at the deadline to upgrade your D, and you're paying these guys $7 million for another couple of years too.
Yeah, they're definitely players that you're gonna probably like have to trade, but also give up assets to trade them. But I don't know. Well, maybe Matt Dumba finds his game again.
Exactly. Maybe I'm the stupidest guy on the internet.
Because he was a really highly rated defenseman.
No,
at one point of his career.
He was gonna be sick one day, and then it just never really panned out.
Shall we move to the team who signed the 2 best goalies in the NHL? The Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
Who's drinking the soup over there? Like
Jack Campbell's revenge tour.
Jack Campbell and a 36-year-old Cam Talbot. Like, what?
Yeah.
On a team with Ville Husso and Alex Lyon.
Reimer.
And no, Reimer.
Oh no! Sorry, not Reimer. That was Lyon.
Reimer went to Buffalo. No.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but Alex Lyon and then Sebastian Casa, whatever it is, who they drafted in the first round a couple years ago. And who?
And Trey Augustine, another, I think either first or second round pick as a goalie.
Like,
but
there was only one net last time I counted, right? Like, what's going on?
Saying for a while now that I do not trust this Yzer plan at all. It's all been blown up everybody's ass. Like, I don't believe in it at all. And I like, is he like going to go down there every time Husso has a bad game and hit him in the knee with a baseball bat or something? Like, it is insane to have this many goalies on your roster. And I mean, Jack Campbell's probably going to be playing in the AHL, I'd assume. But, like, you can't have everybody in the AHL and you can't have everybody in the NHL. Like, this is crazy. And for, like, Kosa, like, he was drafted, like
14.
Yeah,
it was, and they wasted, like, I don't mean to say wasted, but, like, you go take a goalie in the first round, right? And that Detroit team has kind of been on that cusp, like, the last couple of years as well. And it's like, you really waste that pick just for this guy to turn 26 before you're giving him an NHL start. Like, I don't understand what the hell is going on, but
I'm sorry, a 2-year contract, $2.5 million a year for Cam Talbot. What?
I don't get it. That they have 4 goalies that can play in the NHL, and then
and none of them like at a crazy high level.
Yeah,
like they're all just below average starters to backups.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we need 4 of them?
Welcome to Detroit. We got a lot of mid hanging around here.
No,
I was like going up to Patrick Kane before he signed that deal on that Sunday night, and he was probably like, "Man, you're not gonna believe what I got. My bag of tricks, huge."
Oh my god!
Comes back, he's like, "I just got you 2 new AHL goalies."
Patrick Kane returns.
Yeah, Patrick Kane, 1 year deal, 6.5. That's great for him. I mean,
Fair head.
Yeah.
do you think
Honestly,
he does? Do you think he does what Patrick Kane can do? Or
He still
is
show
Yeah.
flashes.
he a little past
Right.
it at 35 years old?
Yeah,
Like they've still got that first line of him and DeBrincat and Larkin. Like I think they can
That's
be
a crazy
set.
first. Yeah.
I don't know. It's only like how far can you get off those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's going to be no different from last year and how Patrick Kane performed and whatnot. I mean, Showtime, right?
I think
He's gonna.
Edvinson finally breaking out.
That's a big one.
Shall we
I agree.
move to the busiest team on Frenzy Day?
Honestly, yeah.
What the hell happened? We don't even have a GM.
Yeah, Jeff Jackson's working his magic.
yeah, the hockey gods look down and bless the Oilers.
Seriously.
That was insane.
Having a playoff performance like that definitely helps too. Extremely attracting a guy like Jeff Skinner, who hasn't played a playoff game in his entire career.
13 deals done on July 1st for them Oilers. So
and a press conference in the middle of that to just recap.
You're very right. So let's run through each of them because we are from Edmonton, so I mean we might as well spend a little extra time on them. Connor Brown, 1 year, $1 million.
Amazing.
Like he had a great playoff.
And I mean, it's a bargain contract, but he's also getting that signing bonus too. So it's not like it's like $1 million, basically like 4.5.
Then you got James Hamlin, 2 years at 775,000 a year. Again, it's fine because he's not going to be an integral part of that team.
He had a good story this year. Him scoring his first goal and everything, and pointing to his mom and
Arvidsson. Did anyone see this coming?
Honestly, yeah. I think that was the big rumor.
Smoke, but yeah, the fact that they pulled it off and then they pulled it off on exactly how long you want this deal and for probably less money than anybody expected. No?
Yeah.
2-year deals, $4 million per year. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these other numbers that we've been throwing around today. I mean, 5-6 mil is not out of the question. And he will add to this team a considerable amount.
Well, you pretty much traded, not to jump on LA now, but like you traded him for Fogle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fogle had a career year.
We love Fogue Daddy, but
but he produced at a higher level than he ever has in his career this year. And did he break 50 points? No, exactly, right? Arvidsson, as long as he stays healthy, which is, the big, knock on wood kind of thing, right? The guy's had back problems in the past and, countless other problems, but there's no reason he shouldn't be a 60, 70-point guy riding shotgun with Leon and probably Skinner on the other wing. Are you kidding me?
For $4 million.
Let's go to Skinner.
He's a guy that's never played with that kind of talent before, and then all of a sudden now he's getting into getting to play with top 6 with 2 of the best players in the world.
So he's a guaranteed 20 goal scorer, and even more. Like he scored 30 goals twice in his career. And one thing about him, I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but the deciding factor to go to Edmonton is because he contacted Adam Larson.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I heard some stuff about Ekholm bringing him there from their time in Nashville. They're both Swedes, but Adam Larson, thank you, sir.
The one and only.
I mean, so
one last
we talk about, his previous numbers, and I think when you come to this Oilers team, you kind of expect that you're going to have a good season yourself because of what's around you. I mean, you look at what Hyman put up this year. He has never put up numbers like that. And I'm not saying he's going to have a Hyman season, but I'm saying, if you're averaging 20 to 30, maybe this guy can have a 30 to 40 if he's with Draisaitl and McDavid and Hyman and all these other superstars, right?
That's exactly what Skinner was thinking.
Well, let's go Jeff Skinner.
Moving on to him. Like, well, you get bought out, so you're getting paid from 2 teams. You don't need the big money. You have never played a playoff game. This is the perfect team to do it with. And if there's a team to go on a prove me deal with, show me a better one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw some reports that Toronto had offered Skinner 3.5, and their whole pitch was you'll get to play with with Marner and Matthews, and he ended up choosing Edmonton for less money. Like
he's on $3 million, so not a
Says a lot.
ton, little bit.
But I mean,
It
still,
does add up, right?
I think it's really cool to see how like these guys now are like, this Edmonton team can do it, and imagine me getting to play with two of the best players in the world. Like it's such an advantage having that. I mean,
it's funny how a week ago Edmonton lost Game 7 and Florida lifts the Stanley Cup. But we're going into a new season where I think a lot of people are going to say Edmonton is favorites to win it again. And these players are going, if I want to win something and do something, man, that's the destination for me. And you know what? I think a lot of it has to be given, a lot of credit has to be given to Daryl Cates and the Oilers Entertainment Group in terms of creating a destination that these players actually want to go play. Because, I mean, you go back 5, 6, 7, 10 years, nobody wanted to come to Edmonton. Even when a young Connor McDavid was drafted, it was listen, we got to pay this guy extra for him to show up, and we're playing with just dog shit players. You got Nail Yakupov doing fucking knee slides through Rexall Place. Like, it's just a matter of there's a destination. You're playing in the best arena in the league, best fans in the league, the best players in the league, and the best chance of winning a Stanley Cup. There's your sales pitch. Show up and come play some hockey, right?
Just to tell a quick story really quick about like how Liam's talking about Cates and how he's made this whole organization like a home for these players. Bob Stauffer was saying on Oilers Now about how they were on a road trip and it was a Super Bowl and they were supposed to fly out the day of the Super Bowl. And then I guess the players kind of went up to Cates and was like, hey, is there any chance we can spend an extra night and then just kind of have a Super Bowl party here and just kind of hang out and we'll watch the game and then we leave tomorrow morning? And Cates is like, yep, for sure, we'll make that happen. It costs them $250,000 to change all the flights, change all the bookings, change everything. And he was more than happy to do it just as like a little like, hey guys, have the night off, watch the game and have fun. Like I think the culture that they've built here in the last few years is almost second to none. Like, it's really cool to see how well these guys talk about the city and the team as a whole.
Like we talked all throughout the playoffs of the fan parks in Edmonton, the Moss Pit, everything. That doesn't get put on for free. Now, I know they make their money back in food and alcohol sales and everything, but that costs time and effort and money to put on events like that and turn downtown Edmonton into that fan atmosphere, right? So they've done a great job of turning this into a destination these players are dreaming of coming to, kind of thing. But I want to turn the mood a little negative because I was upset when I saw a 1-year deal for Mr. Corey Perry. Are you kidding me? Oh, come on. The guy can really move. He can move. No. It's a no.
It's the same reason why, like, Chicago brought in Pat Maroon. He's not going to be scoring 30 goals or whatever he's done in his career.
But that's
same with Corey Perry. Corey Perry
that you could have spent elsewhere.
The thing with Corey Perry, I feel, and for that reason being the cap hit so high there, I think other teams were interested. I think teams would want a piece like Corey Perry and extremely cup contending teams. I mean, if you have Corey Perry, you're going to the cup final, right?
Not winning. You're
But I mean, even like 1.4, like I bet there was going to be worse teams. Like I bet San Jose is offering him $3 million. Like
totally.
I think he's obviously Edmonton got over the hump this year and finally figured out how to get there. And I think that these veterans that they have, like especially Corey Perry, like you can't discredit what he's doing, even for like him having one goal or whatever it was in the playoffs. And it might have been the easiest goal in the history of the NHL. But that like, I think he's a huge part of this team for the little amount of time they spent here and the less than ideal production we've gotten, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think you're probably paying him more for his off the ice stuff than he is on the ice, right? Like, how many games is he really going to get into? He's got these incentives for 15 games or whatever, but like that could be, barring injuries, kind of the benchmark, right? Like, you got such a deep team. But
Yes.
a voice of knowledge, a voice of reason in so many different situations that, a young-ish team still, they've seen a lot, but, it's
Still moments of
not like they're,
inexperience, right?
right? It's worth
Couple
the
of
1.4.
So there were some other deals as well. Re-signing was, I think, another theme of the day for the Oilers. Adam Henrique, you re-signed him
Hallelujah.
2 years, $6 million, so 3 years per year, or $3 million per year. Good deal there.
I love it.
Unreal. Like for them to have re-signed him for sure. I don't care about giving up that first round pick anymore.
Mhm.
Unreal to bring him back. Like such a big piece. He can play top six. He can play bottom six. He can kill penalties. He can play on the power play. Maybe not first power play, but like he's sick. And to have him back at $3 million, and there was other teams that were offering him more, and he wanted to stay in Edmonton, and so sick. Like I was jumping up and down when I heard him
Well,
because
I know
everything was just so perfect.
I know when he did sign for Edmonton, that's one thing he mentioned. He goes,
Wow.
"This is my greatest chance of winning something in my career is coming to this team." So, yeah, he doesn't want to leave after just getting here and just getting to a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, right? So, yeah, he wants that deal as well to happen. Mr. Playoffs, Matthias Janmark, he re-signs 3 years, 1.45 per season. Good deal as well. Good deal as well.
That's I feel like he could have got more on the market.
Yeah. But
right?
again, he wants to stay, right?
True. That must have been it.
For like a guy like him and Brown, like they finally found their role in the playoffs. Yep. All you kind of hope is that play carries over. There's a lot of times where these guys get these contracts, and especially like term on them, that it kind of just slows right down and they revert back. But I think Janmark loves it here, and I think he is very excited to be like finishing what they've started so far.
Well, it's kind of cool for, like the year-end press conferences to go the way that they kind of said they would, right? Everybody said, we love it here. We want to come back, this and that. But how many times have you heard Edmonton Oilers players say that and then run for the hills, right? The first offer that comes their way other than an orange and blue offer, yeah. For the first time maybe ever, we have multiple people re-signing or new free agent signings.
And taking less money.
That one, right? For less than market value. Unbelievable.
There is still the big one, though. The Leon Draisaitl saga is not concluded yet.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Don't worry about
it. I'm confident. I am. The way he was speaking at the end of the season in terms of, I love being here. I love playing for the Oilers. I'm, dedicated to what I'm doing here. That filled me with a little bit of confidence in terms of this guy he's bought into the project, and I think he understands what's happening here, and he can evaluate himself and go, this is my best chance at winning. There's not many teams that he could go to that could afford him that are in a position like the Oilers are in terms of winning a Stanley Cup.
And I don't think we will see a Draisaitl deal until a new GM comes around. I think that's probably just, I don't think Jeff Jackson wants to have that big responsibility be over him. He clearly doesn't want the job, which is crazy. If he's in charge of what he's done the last week, give him the role, give him the job.
I think that Keith Gretzky is probably hard in on some of these deals too. I think he's either the GM of the Condors or he's the assistant GM. I can't remember what, but I think he's heavily involved in this sort of thing going on right now.
Yeah. I'm sure they got a whole team there and whatnot, just deciding. I'm sure even maybe Kenny Holland still has a word. Who knows?
Knobs working the phones.
Big fan of what I'm
I'm not against. I think it is very much a team effort right now for all of those people behind the scenes. Let's talk about some of the players who left the Oilers, though, because a couple of fan favorites are going to be departing.
Yeah, Vinny Desharnais is probably the big one there.
Yeah, sad.
He got his money.
Yeah,
sad to see him go, but I would have been upset if they gave him $2 million.
Yes.
So it's like you said before we started recording. they obviously said, you know what, Broberg is our guy. We're gonna trust him. We're gonna put him into those minutes. Sorry, Desharnais, you got dropped at the crucial moments of the playoffs. We brought this guy in and we trusted him. We're gonna continue to trust him.
Well,
and it worked out. He looked great.
Just another guy that they added. We kind of skipped over it, but Josh Brown. Another guy, I think he's more or less Vinny's replacement. I don't know if he'll for sure be playing at the NHL level. He's making more than Stetcher, and I assume he's going to get NHL time. But
he's definitely a replacement. Even just size, if you want to compare it that way. I'm pretty sure Brown is 6'5".
Yeah. I did see Josh Brown's advanced stats, and they look really, really bad. Maybe worse than the NHL bad. But I think that
whatever.
Arizona will probably help that.
I mean, most defensemen would look bad if you're not on a contending team like that.
No, exactly.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about it. I think this might be the best Oilers team, definitely in the McDavid era. I say that.
I think.
Yeah. Well, just wait until the deadline when they pick up another defenseman to upgrade that right side.
Totally.
Right? They probably won't go out and get one over the summer. Who wants to give up a
not
top 4 defenseman? But come the deadline, someone falls out. Thank you very much.
We even got a first-round pick in the draft, and no one saw that coming.
Yeah. No.
I think they're just bored. Guys, let's do this, okay? Let's put something together. And
I'm curious how many Oiler fans instantly tuned into the draft after hearing about the trade.
Well, and I mean, I honestly know you know a whole lot more about him than me. He seems like he's a reliable middle six center kind of thing, and he was on a very good London Knights team. Obviously, he probably didn't get as much spotlight there as he probably could have if he wasn't on the London Knights.
Yeah,
they're just stacked, but they must have seen something in them that they really liked to move next year's first round pick. Maybe if it reaches whatever the conditions are on it, but to give up a first round pick, that trading piece is a big one, right? So they must really like him.
I mean, what he does at 18 years old is pretty crazy. He plays like a veteran player. He's the comparison I was talking about is kind of like a Sam Carrick. Almost like Sam Carrick, of course, was great, extremely in his prime, and just defensively, and he can play aggressive. He's can lay the body, agitator. He has all those, and at 18 years old, I'm not surprised they picked him up because they definitely see something in him. Of course, he's not going to be your probably not going to be a top 6 player. But
so you're telling me we're not getting
a role player?
We didn't get the next Connor McDavid in the last pick of the first round draft. Fuck.
I think most
fire that GM. Get him out of here.
I didn't see many mock drafts having him in the first round, just because he's not the most flashiest player, of course. Because the first round players, you're trying to strike for gold, pretty much. But he's your role player, and pretty good at pickup for Edmonton. It's a player the Edmonton Oilers would need in the future.
And we got a Finnish goalie who's Vinny, and he's put a sick Instagram video together. So you know what? That guy's the real deal, okay?
I'm going to need to watch that. I haven't watched that yet.
Next to Wayne Rolson right there. Put my money on it.
I can't remember the name, but I'm pretty sure their 7th round pick also played in the OHL and had 107 points or something.
We'll take it.
I don't really understand how some of these guys can be so productive and fall so far compared to someone like O'Reilly who had 57 points or something. I don't really understand how they value this stuff.
It depends on the league. Again, I guess Cole Eiserman is probably a good example of this draft. He's definitely the best shooter. He is the best shot out of this draft class by a mile, but he doesn't have the rest of the game. And that's why he did slide down in the draft rankings. I think he was top 5 before, a year ago.
He was consensus number 2, I remember, for a while.
But yeah, just more scouts started watching his game and kind of realized he's not that much of a play driver, that he just pretty much has an elite shot. So a team that can utilize that and is not looking for that other side of the game, the B side. Whatever.
like Austin.
It's something like that.
Do we now
Yeah.
move to the
No.
Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers?
They lost a lot.
But they did re-sign someone very important, and I mean, that's their main thing, right? So Sam Reinhart, 8 years at 8.625 per year. He's coming off of, I mean, the best season he's ever had.
Nearly 60 goals.
So that's huge to lock him down for what is probably going to be the rest of his career. Great bit of business there.
Again, he's a younger player. He's 28 years old. He can probably probably making that much money in year 6 or 7 even, or be worth that much money.
Yeah.
And he could have made a lot more money on the market.
Honestly.
Thank you, no state tax. We want to bring that back around.
Yeah.
I mean, even like a guy like comparing the Jake Gensels, which is jumping the gun a little. You can almost compare those two players, and I'd almost rank Reinhardt higher.
And what he does defensively too. Like I think that's an unreal deal to get a guy coming off of almost a pretty damn near 60 goals. Like, it's really hard to beat something like that. It's that's an unreal contract for a long time.
Yeah, what a time to get 60 goals in your career.
Right.
Yeah. It's
right on your contract
moves.
here.
So what did they lose?
Well, they lost 2 big pieces on their decor. Extremely Brendan Montour. I think that one's going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah.
But a lot of their depth is gone. It's kind of, you see it every single time. It's hard to go back to back.
Exactly.
Extremely winning the cup, you're going to lose a lot of pieces. Extremely, you're up on the cap floor now, but they're bringing.
Yeah. He got signed for $2 million. Like, you can't. They're never going to get him. Like, Kulikov, that was expensive. They re-signed Kulikov, and he's 33. He's 4-year deal at it's 4.6. Like, that's an expensive deal when he's 37. But
that's 4.6 in total.
Oh,
yeah,
1.15 per year.
Yeah, I love the Kulikov deal.
Holy, what a deal! Holy, I am missing. That's awesome.
But I saw like their projected fourth line. There are 3 players I've never seen in my life, but I saw their height and weight. I think it's like their average weight is like 210 pounds, 6'3", 6'4".
Love it.
Wow.
You know, they're role players, and you know they're going to keep playing that Florida Panther style hockey. Paul Reece.
They added Nate Schmidt.
I like the Nate Schmidt.
Yeah, cheap deal.
Yeah, that just happened today. I think the buyout in Winnipeg didn't really make too much sense to me.
I know, especially when you're giving $5 million.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nate Schmidt's game. And just like locker room presence as well. He's another one of those locker room guys.
Sounds like
at $800,000, might as well.
And a little bit of rumors from Rumor Reece, you know me.
Oh, Rumor Reece.
I like
that Florida and Carter Verhaeghe, they don't have like a number or anything set out, but there is a verbal agreement that he'll be back for sure.
I think it was 6 years.
Yeah.
I think it was right up to 2030.
Yeah, like I think they'll find some way to get him done. Like that, they seem to love each other down there. Like that's a strong group of guys. So
yeah,
they can find any way to keep that core. And I mean, if Reinhardt's taking less, I mean Matthew Tkachuk, it's not like he's making $12 million. Like he's making less than 10, I think. Right?
Yeah.
It's tough giving all these guys big contracts when you got Bobrovsky and Barkov making 10.
I mean, Spencer Knight's also making like $5 million, right?
Oh, and he's not even playing.
That was the big one for me when I was looking through. Other than that, that's Florida's gonna be Florida. They're gonna be great again.
Yeah, they'll be around. They'll be around that conversation. I mean, yes, they're lost pieces, but they've also held on to a lot of key pieces. And I mean, their head coach, I think, is the biggest piece of that to hold on to him. So yeah, they'll be in that conversation come this time next year, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The LA Kings, they
Yeah,
pick up Folk Daddy from the Edmonton Oilers. They do actually quite a bit of work on July 1st. Edmondson is their big one, 4-year, 3.8.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to age very, very, very,
Mhm.
very poorly.
He's the former GM for Montreal that like loved Edmonton.
Mark Bergevin, baby.
Yeah, it must have been in Rob Blake's ear, like telling him all these good things about got that contract. Like,
You know, I'm a fan of Joel Edmondson if he's playing bottom pair.
Yeah, for
he's a-
1.2.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Not 3.8 in any world. What are you doing?
yeah. Like even I thought this year, like what he was making, like I'm good for him. Like good on his agent.
Good for him.
He's getting paid.
Getting paid.
But
Love
I
the
mean,
guy.
that whole defense in LA, like it's so defensive. Like they don't really have a whole lot of production that's going to come from that decor. Like you got Gravikov and you got Edmondson. Like both those guys, I don't think they might not even get like 20 points. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder, like Drew Doughty.
Yeah, like I mean, I think Drew Doughty he can do what he does, but I mean, tough. Hopefully, I bet you they're banking on Brant Clark finally getting in, and
Yeah,
he's sick.
I assume so. I'm actually just looking right now. I thought Trevor Lewis retired, but he signed a 1-year deal with LA.
1-year deal at 37 years old. It's
What a guy!
yeah, and for 800,000 as well. Like it's not like it's $0, you know.
Yeah, veteran guy.
Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of 75,000.
They also did make a trade with Tampa. They acquired Tanner Jeannot for a second and a fourth, which is hilarious.
Yeah, small price to pay after watching what Tampa paid for him, eh?
Yeah, what did Tampa pay for? It was like a first, second, third, fourth.
Yeah,
a 1 through 7.
like
Pretty much a whole draft class.
2 or 3 years, maybe. I don't know. They just said to take them all. Who gives a shit?
we're
that
clearly not doing anything right here. Just take it. I don't want it.
Oh,
that ended up poorly. I think Jeannot still has some upside to his game. I mean, he is your pretty much typical power forward. He has the body and had the scoring touch in Nashville.
He might get them an extra in the playoffs. Like he might get them an extra 6 penalty minutes. Yeah, it's crazy to me that like they just don't do anything to push the needle, right? Like obviously Blake went for the big shot last year. Dubois missed it horribly. Had to recover all that this year. And now it's like this guy's fighting for his job and he's too nervous to go and like make a big move. And they need to, like, especially when you just lose Arvidsson
and Waugh or Roy or whatever he likes to be called.
Yeah, Roy was a big loss.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
Like,
and you're replacing those two players with Fogel and
Edmondson.
Yeah,
and I don't know, man.
I think Fogel will do well, but I don't think he's going to do as well as he did this season for Edmonton.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But I mean, if they just want to keep making it to Game 6 of the first round every year, then that's cool with me. But like, you'd think that they would really make a jump. Something.
It's a weird situation sometimes when these, like I said, these teams that are just consistently the same. It's like you have to do something to change that narrative and to break up the table. It's just they just don't want to make the mistake, right? They don't want to make the big splash and it lands poorly.
I think that's a good segue to the next team.
Yeah, I'm looking
Minnesota.
at some of these numbers of the Minnesota Wild. I mean, their biggest numbers are the contract extension to Jake Middleton, 4-year contract extension, 4.35 per year. Other than that, they've got Trennan at a 4-year deal, $3.5 million per year.
I'm a big fan of Trennan. He's your versatile bottom six forward. He can play. He can play winger. He can play center. He can play power play. He can play penalty kill. He can play any situation. That's probably why he made $3.5 million.
You toss him on a line with Foligno and Hartman. That's the biggest fuck you line in
totally
in the NHL. Like they will not take any type of shit. Like,
the 4 years is where I get a little worried. 4-year contract's quite long for a guy, a bottom six forward, pretty much. So I don't know. And I do really like the Jake Middleton extension. I think he's fit really well with Minnesota. I love the guy. He's got a great mustache. Yeah, that's what I was gonna. that mustache earned him an extra $2 million.
And best of luck to Devon Score, re-upped Devon Shore.
Oh, Devon Shore, yeah.
Yes.
Oilers legend.
Oilers legend.
I love seeing the Shore jerseys out there. It's like there's one or two that pop up. You're like, yeah, that's a good guy right there.
They also get Reece Johnson. Is this the guy who I'm thinking of?
I was gonna say they should just had Reece Reeve. Looks much better. That's a captain right there.
Like Reece Johnson, like the enforcer.
Yeah.
Is this who I'm thinking of?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, not a whole lot of movement.
No, Minnesota, another a team. It kind of like LA.
And I mean, they're kind of cramped with. They're still messed up with these Parise and Suter buyouts and stuff. But you've only got so many years of Kaprizov and him buzzing. Like it's not like he came in the NHL and he was 18. Like he was already 25 or whatever it was. Like the clock it's getting smaller and smaller in my opinion. And it kind of it sucks if Fleury doesn't make the playoffs again. Then
yeah.
Another quiet team, though.
I was gonna say
the Montreal Canadiens.
I think
big move.
I think quiet is a good thing for the same,
for sure.
And I think it's good for a lot of teams in a very similar situation as Montreal. But big contract extension for Juraj Slafkovsky.
I was gonna let
8 years.
I was gonna let you take that name because I wasn't gonna try to pronounce that one.
8 years, $7.6 million. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love it. I think this kid is an absolute stud. And watching him in extremely in the last half of this season, he was taking the NHL by the storm. Not one bit.
That it's half a season?
Not one bit.
No.
What is it? 20 years if he had the chance.
No shit.
We'll have
give him that Kovalchuk deal.
He would have. He if he was on the market, he would have made more money.
I think he's gonna be a hell of a player, and this is one of those contracts when you're playing GM mode on NHL and you're trying to get the guy before he gets really good. It's making less than Jack Hughes, and Jack Hughes' contract is the most incredible spectacle anybody's ever laid their eyes on. I mean, if he become even if he's not really the first overall pick sort of thing, that's still an unreal deal for year 8. Imagine year 8 when the cap's gone up $25 million and he's making 7.6 or whatever the hell it is. That's gonna be unreal.
This guy's got the spark, and his interviews he was saying is not about the money at all, but it was about the 8 years term and just wanting to stay. And having Nick Suzuki at 7/8 as well, and Cole Caulfield.
Wow.
With 7/8.
Those guys locked up till 2030.
All under $8 million.
Really wide open for the Canadiens.
So it makes me pretty excited.
That fifth row pick. That looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, of course. Demidov, baby.
Yeah, that
kid did not see him dropping at all. I thought he was going second overall. I thought him and Bedard are going to be 1-2 punch forever. He drops to 5.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Then Don Waddell picks Lindstrom above him as well, which I think it's just the Michkov treatment again. Ironically enough, they were both line mates. And
I didn't know.
Hmm.
You see the draft coverage? They asked him who's better.
Yeah.
Him or Mitchkov?
Yeah, Jeff
What?
Merrick asking that.
What are you doing, Jeff?
No,
What kind of question is that?
I love that. He's poking. I think they're like both best friends or whatever.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
yeah,
Both are gonna run into this league at
that's also why like Philadelphia really wanted to trade up for a top 5 pick to try
Makes
to get
sense.
him.
That makes sense, actually. I didn't even think
Mhm.
about that. And Briere was saying like they were pretty close. Like,
I think they were close with Columbus. I want to say
yeah, because
4.
I thought they were open to moving that pick, which I think would have been banana lands to do.
I love a good banana lands from Reece. It's needed every podcast. So the Montreal Canadiens are a bit quiet, a little bit, yes, they spent their money on one person. Let's go to a team that the money bags are just flying around here. The Nashville Predators.
Pure chaos.
Did someone rob a bank or something like that? Like, we're talking.
Barry Trotz just like whipped his dick and plopped it down on the table.
Yeah.
This guy,
Like,
holy shit. He got future Hall of Famer Steven Stamkos, who Tampa, let's go. I think that was one of the most poor choices in the last decade. I'm going to say that now. Letting go of your captain, letting go, again, a Hall of Famer.
A Florida icon. Like a legitimate South Florida legend.
100%.
A guy that his number is going to be in the rafters.
Hopefully.
He's going to the
maybe
Music
not
City. Yeah,
anymore,
now
right?
maybe not anymore. Who knows?
He has a
Going to the Music City.
He has a 4-year deal, $8 million per year. Bit risky because he is 34 years old to give him a 4-year deal. However, he's been so consistent with his numbers. I mean, the guy just does nothing but score goals.
Whatever happens by that 8th or that 4th year, he's still gonna give you 60 points. 30
And
goals.
you got to think he's going to be playing with like O'Reilly, Philip Forsberg. He's got good company with him in Nashville, and now a Conn Smythe winner in Marchessault.
Honestly, one of the best contracts I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
agency
I agree.
wise, like 5.5. When I saw that, and I thought
I was like, what?
Vegas couldn't be competitive with that at all. Like, that is insane to me. Losing the Conn Smythe winner, like Conn Smith, or what are they? I can't remember. Mark Stone called him something to do with Conn Smythe, but like so sick to bring him in and Stamkos, and then it's like, oh, what a glorious day for Nashville. Brady Shea too, why not? Like,
Mic drop.
Literally, like, and then all of a sudden you completely change, or you stick to the course, I guess, and you re-up Saros for 8 years. Like, completely abandons like this whole here comes the rebuild, like, and these last 2 summers since Barry Trotz has taken over, complete 180. Like,
Yeah,
I think like obviously they were still in the playoffs before when Pooley was still like the GM and everything, but they were clearly going in a different direction, really bringing in like Evangelista and Tomasino and stuff. But like they're capitalizing on this Roman Yossi window for sure, and it is super sick to see. Like, when hockey is good in Nashville, I think the league is a lot better. And
I totally agree.
Them come in the playoffs and like Edmonton, Nashville, like that would be an unreal playoff round. Those fans would be going crazy at Bridgestone. Like, I'm so beyond impressed by how Barry Trotz has came in as a rookie GM and completely flipped this team upside down.
It's just those 2 forwards. They're first liners on every team.
Exactly.
And they're big time players. Just 5.5. It's not even like close to market value.
No.
Like, think of a guy like Sean Monahan who got 5.
Well, Wenberg,
Stevenson,
Zucker. Yeah, like I'm very, very impressed. And like, I think that they like Stamkos and Marchessault were like talking on the phone and being like, "Hey, like, are we gonna do this?" Like, and I think that's obviously like Marchessault being like, "Yeah, I'm willing to take a little bit less." Like, I think honestly, I do wonder if there was any team that was offering Stamkos more money, like
There's gone.
Maybe like
But
on
it's
a
also
1 year.
like it's not a
or something.
huge move for him. We're from Florida to Nashville. It's not a million
True.
miles away. So I mean,
It's not far. And
maybe
you-
his family stays in Tampa, right? I mean, they're so settled there. You never know.
and it's another place with no state tax.
Mhm.
So
No
and the
snow,
fan-
no tax. There you go.
Yeah.
Sold.
if you love country music, it's the place to go.
Yeehaw, motherfucker.
He's probably gonna open up his own bar or something down there.
Yeah, might as well.
Steven Stamkos Saloon. Let's do it. Come on. I'll put the branding together for you, Steven. The New Jersey Devils.
New Jersey.
Joyzy. A little bit of money spent. A little bit of money
Pesci
spent.
deal was nice.
Yeah, Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci signs in Jersey. It fits. It really
Exactly.
does.
Known hockey player.
Yep,
Six
Joe
year-
Pesci, known hockey.
6 year at 5.5. Yeah, that's again a decent contract, right?
Yeah. I think that's a bargain deal. And he's 29 again. That's going to take him to 35, and that's pretty
Prime
much
time.
perfect.
Another one of those D-men where it's not like his game's gonna drop off on him. Like he's a
No.
super solid defensive defenseman, and I am interested to see like, that man-on-man D that Carolina plays, right? Like it might. I'd be interested to see how all of these guys fare that leave Carolina. Are they still that good when they leave that system? But I think Pesci's like one of those guys. He's been that good really all his career, and he's been behind Slavin and behind some pretty good D-men there. I think he's really gonna blossom, and he doesn't even have to have like a huge role here. Like you already got Dougie Hamilton, you got these young guys coming up. Like he can be a huge mentor to Hughes and what's that other D-man? The Czech guy. Jeez.
That's tough. Nemec.
Nemec. Yeah, like I think adding somebody like that, like Pesci's, and he's been around the block, right? Like he's got how many Eastern Conference Finals, right? I think New Jersey got a lot better and didn't take a whole lot, and that Mark's playing.
Yeah, they got their goalie too, right? Yeah.
They also signed.
And then today they signed. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say they also signed my favorite name in the NHL, Thomas Tatar.
I know it.
Oh, I love that name. Thomas Tatar, 1 year deal, 1.8 million. I mean, the man is 33 years old, but he's been around. He's done stuff in his career. He's a guy you want in the locker room, right?
And one of the best seasons he's ever had was in New Jersey. Like I think he really liked being there, and I think that they just couldn't afford to keep him at the money he was going to make. Yeah, and now he's coming off a down year and works out perfect.
I think the Devils' social media teams is like reeled in the tuna. Thomas Tuna Tata. Tata.
Let's stick in the New York, New Jersey area with the Islanders. I like the two players they brought in.
Yeah, honestly, I totally agree.
Well,
Anthony Duclair, I'm a big fan of his game. I think if he was still on that Florida Panthers team, he would have been such a big impact. Just pure speed with this guy. Pure speed and versatility, just offensively. Defensively, he can definitely be a lot better in. But at $3.5 million, you do it. And he's only 28 years old, so the 4 years isn't going to hurt too much. Mike Riley is a bottom pairing defenseman there. I think the Islanders already had him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they got.
I think he was already. Yeah. But a quiet day for Lou.
I mean, really, I think you just come to expect that he's not going to do anything fun ever in his career, and he's just going to sign the guy he already has. He made one big trade for Horvat, and then he's taking the next 5 years off.
Yeah, I mean, both New York teams were pretty quiet.
I was say New York Rangers. Sam Carrick comes in on a 3-year deal, $1 million per year. Other than that,
they do trade for Riley Smith from the Penguins, who had a couple down years in Pittsburgh. I mean, or I don't even know how long he was there. He was only there for last year, I think.
Yeah, just one.
But again, the Stanley Cup champ.
Is that
Riley Smith?
Are we retained on that deal? Do you know?
There is 25% is retained on the deal, so the Rangers are only paying $3,750.
See, and that's honestly that's a good deal for a guy. He's scored the game or the Stanley Cup winning goal a year, not this past year, but the year before. And I mean, he's a legit top. Maybe he's more top 9 now. I guess he's getting a little bit older. He's a legit player, and I think they really need to address their number one or line 1, line 2 winger position, because you can't just run with Roslovic up there for this season in playoffs, in my opinion. But I think I think this New York team is already pretty set.
I was going to say, they're not a million miles away from where they want to be, so they didn't feel the need to add a shit ton to it.
That's fair. And I mean, the window kind of opens up a little bit in the East now, having Florida lose so much. I think that them sitting there being we're 2 games away from the finals this year. Do we really want to change that much? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess we are underrating the Sam Carrick deal. That could be a game breaker, but
no, I'm a big fan. He's bottom 6.
I like Sam Carrick, but I think, and good for him. 3 years too.
Yeah, it gets term.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Let's go to the Canadian capital, the Ottawa Senators. They
did a lot.
They did a lot, yeah.
And
overall,
this whole.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on. No, go ahead. Sorry. No. You
Take it
do
away.
it. You do it there,
Take it away,
Biden.
Big Sexy.
You got it, Brendan. You got this. This guy. But the Shane Pinto talk is over. This guy is just, oh my God, the last week, it's just been, he's going to get traded. He's wanting an offer sheet. He's requested a trade, whatever. Maybe he had a parlay on him, not returning. Who knows? But yeah, 2 years at 3,750. That's honestly a pretty good deal for him. Just a bridge contract is something we don't see that much anymore, but I think he's the player that you should give a bridge contract to.
For sure. And you've seen flashes of brilliance from him. And I mean, when you miss a full season last year, it's really hard to develop, get better, and you're always a step behind. But I think he was sitting there asking for 6x6 or something. And it's dude, you've played 80 some games. I don't think we can do that. But I do think if he sits there and plays line 1 with Tkachuk and Stützle's a center, right?
Oh God!
They can mash a whole bunch of stuff. And he's definitely gonna outplay that contract.
I think he is a center.
I think you're right,
because he plays with Tkachuk. Yeah.
But the one that I don't really understand is David Perron.
I was just gonna say,
really.
He's 36 years old, my guy.
I like the Perron move.
I think he could have gotten that contract from a lot of other teams, but it's it's the same sort of thing as Kings. It's you add this guy and you're maybe not the Kings, Buffalo, where you're trying to get over this hump. And in my opinion, I don't think David Perron does that for you at 36 years old. Maybe Perron when he was in St. Louis, but I just don't know if it moves the needle enough. I like Amadio.
I also like him. The one thing with Perron, they're not bringing him to be that deal breaker. He's not. He's a veteran guy on this very young Senators team, and he's a guy that can easily lead this team.
True.
And in a team that they really think needs leadership right now, extremely with the expectations from last year and going into this year now.
Claude Giroux can't handle the full kindergarten.
Yeah, I mean, more veterans, the better.
Honestly.
And it's 2 years. You can move away from it, and even this next off season. I mean, but yeah, I love the Michael Amadio.
I really like what they did on the back end too with Chikrin. Getting rid of him and bringing in Nick Jensen. That's kind of the guy that they need, right? That left side is so stacked up with more skilled defensemen, where let's get a right-handed shot who's going to play the game.
And they took
the right way.
They took Yakimchuk at the draft. Am I thinking right?
No, I don't think they did.
I thought they picked another.
No,
defenseman.
they did. Sorry, I thought they
Okay,
took.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one thing that I also don't understand is like you've already got. They're obviously looking to move Shabbat. Like, I think that's got to be clear. Like, or I mean, I guess no, I guess not. They just moved Chikrin. But like you're just adding all of this stuff and like you're I don't know if they're keeping the guys. Like, I was pretty high on Chikrin. Obviously wasn't working there, but I just don't think that they are doing enough to like finally get out of this like funk that they've been in for the last since Chris Kunitz broke the hearts of every Ottawa Senators fan in the NHL.
What a name. But yeah, I agree. I do like the Chikrin move. It sucks because how much you gave for him. It's kind of like how DeBrincat worked out in Ottawa.
Yeah, the asset management hurts.
They have so many left-handed defensemen. It was crazy they brought him in the first place.
Yes.
So I like Nick Jensen. It's just settle it down.
He's a little bit older than Chikrin though, right?
Yeah, I think he's 34 question mark.
That sounds right.
But yeah, like a first pass, block a shot kind of guy. Like maybe a poor man's Chris Tanev, maybe. And we'll get to see him a little bit more.
Like, why are they why are they getting older picking up this guy when like they're not making playoffs next year? And like you think they start looking like, well, I mean at this point I don't think so. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think just diversifying your back end, right? Like, you're not going to win with either guy. You may as well get rid of Chikrin because he wasn't working out on or off the ice, right? Like, by all accounts, that guy was not doing anything for that room. And at least you got, someone different because all three of your left side defensemen are playing the same type of game.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And, just if it doesn't work, screw it. He's got another 2 years left. You don't have to resign him. We got a 3rd round pick for the 1st and 2nd we gave up for Chikrin. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for Ottawa. Again, I think they got to do better than last year.
They have got to do better every year for the last till Chris Kunitz, right? That team makes me scratch my head.
If this is how crazy Matthew Tkachuk gets in the playoffs, I can't freaking wait to see Brady Tkachuk running around that thing. I've barely watched any Ottawa Senators hockey the last few years, but anytime I turn that thing on, he is such a menace, and I couldn't imagine him playing playoff hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move things to the Philadelphia Flyers?
Yeah.
The city of brotherly love did not much.
Yep, didn't do much at all. They signed
Anne Hathaway re-signed for $2.4 million.
He was already there too.
He's re-signing for Anne Hathaway. Yep. Yeah.
Him and Eric Johnson, veteran, two veteran guys.
That could be the most American name of all time. Eric Johnson.
EJ,
first overall pick.
No kidding.
First overall pick.
Very exciting though for them to bring in Michkov officially for next year. Like, I think
that's huge.
And I mean, it sucks for Montreal fans sitting there saying like, "Wow, we didn't." I mean, obviously, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, you got Demidov, but
doesn't matter.
I think
it's all the same.
I think it's gonna be. They're all the same. They're all Russians. I think he's gonna be sick. And I mean, like, they're obviously moving into a different era now there. And I think him quarterbacking that and him coming over so much sooner than anybody thought is
right.
So that team, I think. Like,
I mean, everybody thought he was staying in the KHL for 4 or 5 years and maybe stunting his growth. Who knows?
It does really kind of suck that they did outplay expectations this year and they sit there at the draft and they pick like 13th or something. Like, I do think that sets them back almost, like not getting that lottery pick. Like, that's a legit impact player in the next couple of years. Like, but I mean, if you've got Michkov at a young age now, then I guess it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, or do we keep this ball rolling?
I think we just keep her rolling.
The Pittsburgh Penguins. They were busy on July 1st. They made quite a few deals. Lots of them are just 1-year deals, picking up from free agency. But I don't know.
It's not much.
Is anything substantial? I mean, Aho is the biggest name I think that I can kind of pick out of there. He comes with a 2-year deal from free agency at $775,000 per year. Anything else?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Matt Grzelcyk.
Okay.
I think he's a piece that I think Pittsburgh needs on that blue line. Just an offensive touch. Maybe can run the second line power play. I don't know. Letang and Carlson are there. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know if Pittsburgh knows what they're doing.
It's a weird team in Pittsburgh because they went all in for Erik Karlsson. And
they add a little bit of depth, right? You get Lizotte, who's been he's a legit NHLer.
Yep, I like Benstrom.
Beauvillier too. Like, I mean, I really liked him in Long Island. Like, I thought he was sick for the Islanders, but that's also him playing shotgun with Tavares, and it's. I mean, it's not like he's going to play with a bunch of dumps. Like, he's probably going to get an opportunity with either Malkin or Crosby. So, I mean, 1.25, like, you might be able to get a bit of a bargain out of it, but it kind of makes me sad to see that Washington is doing such a better job of the final years of Ovechkin's career than Pittsburgh is with Crosby and Malkin.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's continue on so we can get to Washington.
Keep her rolling.
San Jose Sharks. I mean,
love it.
The big conversation in San Jose is they got first overall draft pick, and then they did some good business with free agency as well, right?
I love their top six. I think they're gonna have a very underrated. I think they're probably gonna have the worst defensive core in the league, but having a guy bringing in a guy like
gives a shit.
Bringing a guy like Tyler Toffoli, who's probably been one of the most consistent goal scorers in the NHL, I think that's a brilliant pickup. Extremely that now he's going to play with Celebrini, who's going to make the NHL probably first or second line.
Well, and I mean, you look at like how much easier it got for Edmonton to bring in guys when they got McDavid, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Macklin Celebrini obviously isn't on that level, but like, imagine playing with one of the next best hockey players in the world and you live in San Jose, California. Like, it's not that bad. Like, I think them overpaying a lot on Wennberg, like, for sure, but they got to get to the cap floor somehow, right? So
yeah, you have to overpay if
exactly
being a team like San Jose.
But, I mean, them adding Toffoli, I think you're right. Like, it's a guy that you almost know for sure he's going to get you 25 goals. Like, it's and I think that's exactly what you got to do to add around Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini. Like, this is a young team for next year. Like, you've also got Eklund in there.
Eklund is sick.
So, like, it's a super young team, and I think they can be really good. But I think for this year, it's like, oh, what an offseason. We won 26 games last year. We're winning 28 this year. Like, I don't think it's not going to be insane, but they're definitely better than they were coming into last season.
Oh, sorry.
What do you think we could see from Celebrini in his first season? What are the expectations?
I mean, I think he's got a better line mates than Bedard had in his first season. I mean, Bedard had Taylor Hall for that first bit before he got injured. After that, it was pretty tough, and then he got injured himself. But having Logan Couture,
exactly,
the mentor him. Also, you're gonna have that as your 1-2 punch, pretty much. And playing with Tyler Toffoli, even Mikael Grenland, he had a great year in San Jose, which is hard to say.
Do you think they run Smith and Celebrini like line mates immediately?
I think so.
Do you think they force that to be the duo?
Or I think it'll be Toffoli, Celebrini, and Eklund. Probably. I'm not sure if Will Smith will be in the roster. That one's kind of we'll see once training camp's done and whatnot. Yeah, he did sign his entry level.
Do you think they'd send him down to the AHL?
Well, we'll see. I guess they'll probably give him his trial, his first couple games, and
that makes sense. I'm picking up from that.
I'm gonna move it on to a team that spent big money as well. The Seattle Kraken. They made a couple good signings.
Big money.
They made one really good signing and one signing that makes my head twirl around.
Talk me through it, sir. Talk me through it.
Because let's start with the good. Brendan Montour.
Yeah.
I love it.
Great playoffs he had.
He had a great playoffs. He's really shown himself in Florida. I love the deal. It's 7 years. What is it?
7 years, 50 million.
7.1. Yeah.
7.14 per
and
season.
And now you have Vince Dunn and Montour as your 1-2. And you probably don't play them together. They're both pretty offensive. They're pretty similar in how they both play.
And Dunn and Larson have played so well together.
And then you have Larson and Alexiak to pair them with. And you're going to have two offensive guys with two very defensive guys. And it just kind of really works out that way. So I'm a big fan of this top four defense in Seattle now.
I think like $50 million over 7 years, I think is a very fair deal for.
I agree.
We've had the good. Now Noah Pomeroy, give me the bad. Give it to me.
I think everybody can agree that 7 years for Chandler Stevenson is absurd.
Especially at a price point that is over.
I can live. It's 6.25.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Like at least $1.5 million overpayment. No.
And again, thinking about looking back at Conn Smythe winner over there in Nashville.
Some of the contracts we've talked about tonight, and you put into reference, and you go, what you get on some of these teams compared to what other teams can get, you have to overspend, right? It is quite clear who the big teams are in this league.
Yeah,
it is. I think that it is like Cody I'm forgetting Stevenson. Hell of a player. Like in that cup run, like he was a huge force on that team. Like he was one of their strongest players for sure.
He's one of the fastest players.
Exactly. And for a guy that came out of the blue, right? He was on that Washington team that won the cup, and he was kind of starting to make a name for himself. And then he goes to Vegas and then really pops off, right? But is there a point? Is there any point? Like I think it is literally inevitable that Shane Wright and Matty Beniers are the 1 and 2 centers on this team.
Yep.
When, it's definitely going to be before 7 years' time. And how comfortable are you paying Stevenson to play on the third line for 6.25? And that might be 4 years of this contract. That is a really, really long time and a lot of money to be put in the bottom six.
Yep. Takes them up to 7 years.
Seattle,
37.
They have so many solid NHL players on that roster. They don't have any guys that really move the needle. If there's one thing that they needed, not that there was a whole bunch of it in this offseason or this free agent year, but it's just another guy who comes in that is kind of a middle six, maybe a top six on a, with good wingers, right? He's not really driving his own line. It just kind of makes me, again, you said head twirl, right? What's the big plan here, right? It just doesn't quite. The puzzle pieces aren't clicking for me.
Well, and they've got a lot of youth coming in too. They've got. I think there was that one. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he led the CHL in scoring. I think this year, and they have another guy in Coachella Valley that tore up the AHL. So it's they've got this youth movement still coming, and they're like, "Fuck it, here's all the money." I think this year of them not making the playoffs kind of really scared that whole ownership and GM and but I wouldn't call it a panic move because I'm sure there's teams that were offering this to Chandler Stevenson, but it's a lot of money and there's a very high risk on it, I think. You spent so much draft capital on Beniers and Wright, these two centers. Why are you offering so much to this new guy?
Yeah.
They let go of Kyler Yamamoto as well, and that's just illegal. It's illegal. Yeah. You can't do that, okay? That's a nice man. He's a nice, small man. Let him live his life. Rude.
But short term, I'm okay with it. I can live with it short term. He's probably going to play second line this season, maybe
I
next
love it
couple.
for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Love
No,
it.
100%.
Love it. Love it. Love it. It's
On the latter half.
But he's a reliable two-way center. Like, and I think that's. It's not like you're getting the guy that's going to give you 60 points and give 0 fucks on defense. Like, he's a guy that can get you 60 points right now. I mean, he's 30 already, but he can get you 60 points and can hold down the fort defensively.
Shall we go to the St. Louis Blues?
St. Louis.
They made one big deal, money-wise. Buknik? I'm not even going to...
Pavel Buchnevich.
Yeah, okay, so I was nowhere close. Pronunciations are not my strong point.
Man made of glass.
Okay, there you go. So 6-year deal for him, $8 million per season. Contract extension. You have
love it. Yeah.
I think they had to find it. Any team was going to give this guy this money. Like, I think it's 6 years. I think it's smart.
I agree.
My only concern is, like, has there ever been a season this guy's been healthy? Like, it's a lot of money to give a guy that might be playing 35 games a year sometimes. Like, and like that's the last thing I want. Obviously, like I really like Buchnevich. I think he's sick. And for what's St. Louis had to give up for him is unreal. Like, I think it's sick that they're keeping him. I like their core, but he's definitely gonna try his best to stay healthy because that's been a huge problem.
Which is probably why he didn't get the 8 years. Full 8 years, which is kind of just a go-to now for every NHL contract. But I honestly, I like the 6 years as well. It takes them up to 36. That's good for the organization, I guess.
Yeah,
more than the player.
I mean, $8 million. That's a lot of money. Like, I think that's good for them.
Good money. Other than that, they didn't do too much.
Couple considerations going out today. No.
Yeah, two trades just for future considerations. Yeah.
One of them, Radek Faksa. I know his cap hit is pretty tough from what I remember with Dallas. Oh, never mind. He's got one more year left, but he did sign a 5-year deal at the time for 3.25, which didn't really work out because he was playing fourth line minutes in Dallas. So I know that was always a big problem for them. But yeah, they move him on for nothing. They also get Matthew Joseph. This is a trade I really like.
Yeah.
I think this guy's got some really good upside to his game, and you got him for nothing, and you got a third on top of it as well. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy, like, I think it was last preseason, he absolutely tore it up. Like, playing top his role. Everybody had all of the eyes on him, and he came into the season with high expectations just because of that. Which, it's not.
I think before that, like, Senators were pretty tight cap-wise, and that was before Pinto had gotten suspended and everything. They were trying to find this money, and he was, like, going crazy at the beginning of the year, and everybody wanted him traded before, and then he definitely cooled off. But, I mean, there's a guy that can get you 30-some points, 40 points in the bottom six role. Like, and
then he's a physical guy, too.
Yeah, and for a team like St. Louis, where Robert Thomas just popped off this year, right? He had 96 points or whatever. Like, you need that secondary scoring if you want to, like, get back in the playoffs and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for nothing, it's great.
Seriously.
Do we move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
Panic stations.
Trying to get through this.
Panic stations. Steven Stamkos leaves Tampa Bay, and they spend all their money on Jake Gensel.
Tampa Bay is the new Vegas.
Yeah.
They are the villains in my eyes. Like, holy smokes. Letting go of Stamkos, I know we touched on it already. It's just...
Did they not do the same thing to St. Louis, or did he want out to go win that cup?
I think he wanted to go to New York.
Yeah.
I don't know about Le Cavalier.
Vincent, like,
I think
what a good name.
That was very different because I think they were just going into that rebuild explosion, like,
that's true too.
Whatever type thing. Tampa is still competing.
Yeah,
and they fully replace him.
Like, yeah, it is. Like, it's a direct thing. We say, okay, Stamkos is out, and in comes Gensel, and 7-year deal, $63 million, so $9 million a year. I mean, He's
Good
getting paid with no state tax. You love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they made that decision where they went, we need a younger goal scorer. Sorry, Steven, you've done great things for this team for your entire career, but it's time to move on. We're going to go this direction, and we will see what happens this season in terms of his numbers and Stamkos' numbers, but that's a hard man to replace. So we'll see if Gensel can step up and fill that role.
He's used to playing with some good players as well. Guy played with Sid his whole career, then even just last year in Carolina playing with Aho and big names over there. Now he's with Kucherov. This guy's going to score so many goals. He's going to be a 40-goal scorer this year. I think you can almost guarantee that.
It's not like Braden Point can't move the puck either. Like,
right.
They're going to be sick.
Do you think he scores more goals than Stamkos?
Yeah,
that's tough to say. I think just cause of the Nikita Kucherov over there, I think that he barely passes him. Like Stamkos is still going to be Stamkos. But I think Gensel's going to score 40 this year.
One thing, just before we bounce off of it, I was thinking about Stamkos in Nashville, and Philip Forsberg has been on that left side half wall for almost his whole career.
True.
And now you're adding the guy that's probably the second best in the league and taking one-timers from there. Do you think Forsberg moves, or do you think Stamkos is not on that 1T side?
I'm curious. I don't know how their power play is formatted, because I don't think they do run the 1-3-1 as is like Tampa's done for the last 5 years. But yeah, they are going to be playing. He's going to be playing in a different system out in Nashville. It's going to be so weird seeing him in Nashville colors.
It will be.
And honestly, like, I'm sure Stamkos is probably happy for Hedman, but what a slap in the face that is to see your
Nachi
really giving out the next day, right?
Victor Hedman gets a 4-year contract extension at $8 million a season.
So he's going to get named captain this year now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I just don't understand how they couldn't find a way to say, like, hey, Hedman, like, we got to make this work, blah, blah, blah. Like, to keep that core around, I think that's what those players probably would have wanted the most.
Mm-hmm.
And for, like, it just, I understand, like, I think teams get criticized all the time, like Kings and Blackhawks, when they were on those dynasties, like, they were getting criticized for holding on to those guys too long, and it ended up screwing them over. But it's such a different thing when you're looking at this all-time great leader, honestly, in my opinion. A guy who came in the NHL, he basically put Tampa Bay back on the map. Like, he was the first overall pick. They were that bad. And then he goes out second year, 50 goals, 60 goals, like, just a legit Florida legend. And just to basically be like, hey, we're going to give you an 8-year contract. You're probably not going to play all of it. And to top it all off, we're going to give you $3 million a year. That's the rumored that they gave him, but, like, what a big fuck you, right? Like, I think that's pretty brutal.
I honestly thought they were going to get it done too once they moved Sergachev.
And Sergachev, that what?
Well,
like,
and can we have a little vote? Is Sergachev? I think Sergachev and Stamkos were making an extra $1 million on top of Gensel and McDonough. What deal would you rather have?
That's what I'm saying. Is, like, how did they think that bringing in McDonough, who's what, 34, 36, is, like, gonna, like, is the right play? Like, obviously McDonough's a hell of a D-man. He was on those cup-winning teams, but, like, I would definitely argue that Sergachev had a bigger role in those cup wins. Like, I mean, maybe not, but, like...
But also moving forward, right? Like, those cups are behind you by a couple of years.
Right? Like, he's 27 years old. You got him locked up for 8 years on a pretty good contract. Like,
I don't get it.
Unless his leg is, like, completely shattered and they haven't told anything.
That might be it, too.
It could be. Like, he came back way too early. Man, isn't it just a bigger... This one kind of pisses me off. Sorry, guys, but...
Get fired up.
Isn't it crazy that Sergachev works his ass off to get back all season, comes back and plays in those last 2 playoff games, and then they go, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think that is so criminal. And, like, I'm making it as dramatic as I possibly can, but like it's just such a fuck you that we don't see in hockey very often. And I think it's outrageous that it was Steven Stamkos that had happened to him.
Like I said, Tampa's the new Vegas.
Well, just the fact that Stamkos was there for so many years and he doesn't get a proper goodbye or a proper kind of send off. It's just like, okay, off to the sunset. You're off to pasture. You're too old for this team now.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Then you ship off the young guy.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And then extend Hedman. Like if you're gonna get rid of the old guy, why not get rid of the other old guy and keep the young guy?
And like I still just don't understand the McDonough. Like I get
then bring in McDonough.
Chicago at the time where they're trying to trade back for Brandon Saw and stuff, but like I just don't understand. Like you're losing so much of that cup window that you're trying to get back with Gensel. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Because we can talk about what they got for Sergachev, because I kind of do like what they got. I think JJ Moser is a great top 4 defenseman. I think he's probably better than McDonough. Who knows?
Yeah, Morgan Geekie, I think he's gonna be sick one day.
Yeah, Connor Geekie. Yeah, he's 11th overall pick. I've seen this guy play actually a couple times in against the Oil Kings. So I'm a big fan of this guy. He's a guy I always had an eye out on. Big power forward center, or who knows, he may even crack the roster this year because they kind of need players.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's gonna be interesting. Tampa's gonna be one of those teams you're gonna want to tune in and watch. Okay, what's the tire fire situation looking like? You know, where are we sitting?
Like, you think for if they're like letting go of these guys, like you'd think they would try and fill up those depth holes that have just opened up so wide, right? Like that fourth line last year, I couldn't name a single one of those guys on it. Like there's just some big holes in that team, and I think they just tried to super glue them closed, and it's not. I don't know if it's going to work.
Let's go to a team that has consistently super glued holes for most of their existence, actually. The Toronto Maple Leafs.
I'm a big fan.
Fair enough. I think they've done okay.
What they did,
they're not going to do anything.
Honestly,
they're going to get knocked out first round of the playoffs. We know that, but they've done okay.
I'm a big fan of what they did on their D core. Like I think this is the best defensive core Toronto's ever had. Like and it all starts with the big man himself. Not Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but Chris Tanev. Chris Tanev. This guy is an absolute warrior. And you saw it with Dallas when he went over there. He is probably one of the best shot blockers. He's one of the best defensive guys in the league. And 6 years is a lot.
6 years.
I'll say that.
He's 34 years old. Yeah.
It's taken until he's 40 years old.
We saw in that series against Edmonton when he got injured, he tried to play through the injury, which fair enough. It shows you the kind of person
he always does it.
But, you know, those injuries start to pile up when you're 34, 35 years old.
And it's every year he seems like he has a big injury. And it reminds me of John Klingberg, how they brought Klingberg in last year and he got injured almost right away and got done now.
Like you say that, you know, their defensive is one of the best that you've seen. I go, these two that they brought in, Ekman-Larsson and Tanev, they're on the wrong side of 30. And I know Ekman-Larsson will be fine for years to come. He's 32. He's coming off a Stanley Cup victory where he was the number 1 defender for Florida. But I don't know, wrong side of 30. Toronto's putting their chips all in for this year or two coming up here. And I don't know if that's the right move to make.
I think it is. I don't know. I think they're just win now mode extremely with who knows what's happening with Marner, right? And then you do have cap coming up with Tavares leaving the books probably this offseason or next offseason. I really like it. Tanev, he's going to fit really well in the Toronto core. And OEL is also going to fit really well. It's just going to work out. Bring back Max Domi was huge on a very cheap deal. 4 years at $3,750. That's great. And it's good to see Domi finally get some term on a deal.
Yeah. And I think he's one of those guys that's like built to play in Toronto. Right? They re-up Lindgren. Lilligren, 2 years, $3 million per. In my opinion, I'm going to deviate from you a little bit, Noah.
Yeah.
I think Chris Tanev pretty much just bought himself a one-way ticket to Robotaz Island. Like, I think they'll get two really good years out of Tanev.
And then
I think that's all they need.
I think you're right, but
Do you
there's
think 2
still
years,
so
though?
many holes in their forwards. And I don't see this team as any bit scarier than they were last year.
Yes.
And I honestly I think Ekman Larson, I think he play out that contract be pretty good, but he's already got some slow boots and you never really know. But I love Tanev. I would have died to have Tanev, and I think those Leaf fans, they've been asking for him for probably
years.
10 years now, right? So they can't sit there and piss and moan about this contract. You finally got the guy. But I mean, that's a lot of money until he's 40, right? And it's Liam was saying, when you play that hard and he has the respect of every NHL player in the league and every fan, in my opinion. He's such a hard worker, but when you're breaking your ankle and skating the rest of the series and stuff, by the time you hit 36, that's probably going to be catching up to you at some point. But he's also Paschke and Slavin, where he's not out of position a whole lot. He plays smart. Who knows? But it's till he's 40.
Yeah, again, that is the scariest part. But I think they're only doing it for the next 1-2 years, which is I think they all care about. One thing I do really like, one of my favorite players, Yanni Hakanpää.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with that one.
Really? I feel like I bring him up every other podcast.
Great
I love
name.
this guy so much. Yanni Hakanpää. I just love saying it, honestly. Great defensive defenseman, big guy as well. He also has injury issues, which very scary there. That's why I think Dallas let him go in the first place.
Yeah, because he missed the whole third round, I think.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't play against Edmonton.
But I mean, I think that's like a Lyubushkin kind of replacement where you get that big guy coming in and he's definitely not afraid to muck it up. I think Toronto's defense has gotten a lot better in the last couple days.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, it's just the one thing, they didn't add anything to their forward core.
Yeah, and looking at their forward depth chart, especially losing Bertuzzi, they could really use a top six winger, bad.
So they did do deals with 3 separate goalies. Contract extension for Wall, 3 years at 3.66.
Love it.
Now this is where I thought you were going, Noah, because they brought in the mystery man from Florida, Mr. Stolarz. They brought him in on a 2-year deal at $2.5 million. We hadn't heard of this guy before he came in from Bobrovsky when he got pulled. And now here he is lined up in Toronto. You love that.
He had an amazing year in Florida. It just as their backup. Yeah. But the scary part is both these goaltenders haven't played more than 35 games in a season. Their entire careers. I mean, just Wohl's only played 34 or 35 games in his career. So can they handle a full NHL schedule? That's the big question mark there.
Schedule a full NHL schedule in Toronto.
Yeah.
This is where if they play bad one night, they're gonna be reading it on every single page, and that's I really hope Wohl is built for that. Because I mean you can't go back, they just signed Matt Murray again, you can't go back again.
Which is what's going on there?
I know. What the hell? Is he ever gonna be healthy? Now that he's not making $6 million, I bet
he's not that bad.
From a team that has maybe the most media pressure on them to a team that's going to have maybe the least media pressure on them, the Utah Hockey Club. Love that one. The newest boys in the NHL. What did you think about their first time in free agency?
Love it.
Aggressive, and I love it.
I completely agree.
This Utah team they're going to be competitive. I think they're taking the steps of coming out of this rebuild that the Coyotes have been in for however long now. And you saw sparks of it last season. I think it was up to the trade deadline. They were in a playoff spot. and they were looking really good. And of course, I think they went on a run of like 10 losses in a row or something. That stinks.
It's the first time since I can remember that they've been like making winning moves.
Improved.
And yep.
Yes, like they've always just stayed here, right? And now let's go out and get players that are going to make an impact on an every game basis. And it's so exciting. And getting that Alex whatever's face was out of there for this Ryan Smith guy might be the best thing that ever happened to the desert.
Seriously.
Totally.
It's like, so you're coming into your first season in the NHL. You want to get the fan base on board. You want to get the energy going in Utah, and you need to have the team on the ice to create that energy. So I think they're putting a little bit more emphasis on this season of we need to look like a half decent hockey team to get people. The Utah hockey in Utah is for real, kind of, because I mean Arizona lost its fan base over the years. Utah needs to build their fan base.
For sure.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and they made older images. I think like the extension to Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts with that.
4 years, $6 million.
I'm a big fan of that.
Honestly, he's still a young guy. Like, if he can quarterback that power play, I mean, maybe it's gonna be Sergachev's job, right? But he was sick last year, I think, and him being on the Kings, like, he was just in such a logjam behind some pretty solid defenders. Like, I think him in the right role, he can totally live up to that contract.
Yeah. Then they also get Iginla in the draft. I think this kid's he's gonna be a stud. He's got a great shot on him.
You got Iginla's son and Doan's son on the same team. I'm kind of vibing with that one. Should I get an Iginla Utah hockey jersey?
Wait, didn't they get somebody else? No, maybe not. I can't think.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay, you do your thing.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm gonna look it up because there was somebody.
I think they.
Doan and Iginla used to play for the Kamloops Blazers together.
Look at that throwback. There you go.
Oh, the dad trip is going to be insane.
It was really cool. I thought that Jerome's got a job like with the Calgary Flames, right? And he was offered to be on the draft floor, like out there, like participating in everything. And he was like, "No, I want to be with my son through this whole journey," 100%. And blah blah blah. So sick. I think that's so cool to have like an experience like that. Like, that's so dope.
Then they also get John Moreno. That's what I was I found that
their defense has improved incredibly. And I mean, Ian Cole, I don't think he like moves the needle by any means, but I mean a solid like bottom pair defenseman, and like he was pretty much playing for the Oilers in that Oilers Vancouver series. But I think him being just a reliable veteran, I think that's big. And they got Stemlin from Florida. That guy's huge. Right? He's like 6'5". Like, you toss him in your bottom six, and you're gonna get some sort of like energy out of him at least.
Do you want to move on to the next team?
Yeah, it's just just a month ago, Shea Weber was their only defenseman signed.
That's
now they have one of the scariest defensive cores, just like that.
Seriously,
I do look forward to watching Utah this season. I think they're going to be.
I agree. I always like watching new franchises.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have fun.
A team that was aggressive and showing signs of where they want to go this coming season is Vancouver Canucks. They made a move.
I'm a big fan of Jake DeBrusk.
I like him too.
I am a big fan of Jake DeBrusk, and he's coming
in Edmonton Oilers, blue and copper.
He's coming back Western Canada, where he's from. So 7 years at 5.5. That's pretty much what you're gonna get from him, and I love it. It's gonna age like really well with extremely cap going up. 5.5 for that and what he does. The production he's gonna have in Vancouver, I think he's gonna be great there.
He's gonna be 34 by the time it's over. He's only making 5.5, and I mean, let's say he gets. I don't know what their depth chart looks like, especially for power play, but like for like he's pretty much an automatic 25 goals or so, right?
Yeah.
So to get that, add that into your top six. I mean, you're losing Lindholm, but I think that's a big add. I think they did. I think they were trying to go big fish hunting. Like I think they wanted Gensel or
They wanted Gensel.
or they wanted somebody big, and they just didn't end up getting it. They didn't end up making it happen. And I think DeBrusque is a good consolation prize, but I think that them adding some more depth, I think, is good too. But I'm not like overwhelmed. I'm not like terrified of Vancouver now by any means.
I honestly think I'm less scared of the team that they're going to put out for camp. Well, and who knows what they do in trades, right? But like as it sits right now, a little less scared than I was with the team that we saw in the second round. No, is that crazy? Or what are your feelings on that?
I think losing Zadorov is a big loss.
Yeah, and you're bringing Desharnais.
Shout out to Vinny. I mean,
yeah, like love the guy, but he's not moving that needle, right?
I like Derek Forbort.
He's also
that's not a deal.
Pretty mobile, not very mobile defenseman.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be weird. It's hard to say if they got better or worse because like Lindholm wasn't like you had a feeling he wasn't gonna come back.
Yeah, they did get a really good deal on that Tyler Myers signing. I think though, like 3 years, $30 million a year, I think is really solid for him.
I think it's like half of the cap hit that he was already making.
Like I think that's huge. And I mean Dakota Joshua,
that one's huge.
I mean it's a good deal. I'm not like I've never been super high on the guy. He had a huge season here, but like I think 3.25 I think is a pretty fair number for him.
I agree. Yeah, he's a playoff performer, which
for sure.
If you do in the playoffs, if you do good in the playoffs,
you're gonna get paid.
You're gonna get money in terms. So, I'm freezing up here. Need new internet.
Do you want to move on from Vancouver?
Yeah, we can move on.
The boys are getting tired here. We're getting to the end of this.
Boys, there's a lot to go through, and there's so much more too.
It's welcome to Las Vegas.
Kind of crazy.
Welcome to Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Not the same Vegas we're used to, for
right?
Sure.
Not like the top of the headlines.
They did so much at the deadline, like
that was pretty much their free agency off-season period, right?
Like Hurdle and Hanifin.
Pavel Dorofeyev or whatever, he's a young guy, young Russian guy. I think he could be pretty good if he gets the opportunity.
Samsonov.
Samsonov. I think Olofsson's a really good value contract. Like he could score you 20-some goals.
Yep, that's the biggest one.
Who knows about Samsonov? Like if he gets to sit there behind Aiden Hill and like play 30 games, like I think he goes to Toronto and the media just eats that guy alive, right? Like he probably lost so much money playing in Toronto, in my opinion. Like, but I think honestly, in some like smaller role, he could be a really good goalie.
Yeah, and the weird thing is because they did make a trade with the Devils and brought in Akira Schmid. They just let him go.
I know, isn't that the weirdest thing?
But they also bring in Alexander Holtz, who is a very like highly rated prospect for pretty much nothing. You get Paul Cotter in a third.
Yeah,
and I didn't bring it up when we were talking about the Devils because I think that Vegas won this trade.
Yeah,
big time, and I think Holtz is. I mean, he might just crack the roster this year. Who knows?
He could, like, I think that's the whole thing with Devils fans is like they've just been waiting for him, and I don't think he had like a super great opportunity with Ruff, and that team is so young at forward already. Like, it's hard to get an opportunity there. But if Vegas like really wants to like be a long-term franchise sort of thing, like they've got such blinders on. It seems like you're trading for Hurdle, who's an older guy, like you're trading for Hanifin, he's drafted 2015, like he's not old, but he's been around the block. Like I think they could use a couple more guys like Holtz, and like I think it is kind of weird they just let Schmid just walk. Like
very.
I'm excited to see a full year of Hurdle and Hanifin in Vegas. So
no, I agree.
They're going to be in the push again. Playoff. The West is getting insane.
They definitely didn't add anybody to replace Marchessault, though.
I'm kind of wondering, like, knowing Vegas, you just kind of have a little thing in the back of your head. And the situation with Marner, the comparison you can kind of pull with Marner and Marchessault, does that work? Is that, like, I feel like that's not as far of a stretch as most teams with it being Vegas.
Hey, if it's Vegas, they can do anything. If there's a team that could do it.
It is eerily similar to that Eichel fiasco that they ended up before. Like, if Marner goes to Vegas, I will probably boycott the NHL.
I don't know. I wouldn't let Marchessault walk for 5.5 over 5 years if I didn't have a continuity plan of.
Yeah, you got a really good point. I didn't even think of that.
Well, maybe wear your tinfoil hat. I don't know, but
we'll bring this clip back once Marner's a Golden Knight.
This one and come back to it in a year's time. Right? Do you want to move
on?
Like
a genius. I'll just keep her going. I think we got 2 teams left.
We got 2 teams left. We're heading to the capital of the U.S. of A, Washington. They spent some money on one man.
Holy smokes!
$34.5 million over 6 years, so $5.75 million per season for Mr. Roy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
the Capitals are doing something, man.
They love what they're doing. I think they're going to regret some of the contracts they are signing. I'm not going to lie, but who gives a shit? Let's get over that record. Let's have a competitive team while we do it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Ovechkin's got 1 year left. I mean, really. Did you see him playing volleyball? The man put on
man missile.
He put on a little bit of
weight.
Yeah.
Peak male body right there.
But you know what? He'll come back opening day of the NHL and just be classic Alexander Ovechkin, you know? That man just knows how to become an NHL athlete if he needs to. So
I think he's going to look the exact same, and he's probably going to feel even worse first day of training camp. But
he's still going to have his Coke on the bench.
A legitimate freak. Like, he can do the impossible, it seems like, and he just is never getting worse. Like, I mean, obviously this year he had a bit of a down year, but it's not like he didn't will that Capitals team in the playoffs almost.
Yeah. I mean, that back half, he did amazing.
Yeah, they've got a legitimate team now, I think. Like, you've got, if you can run Chikrin and Sandin as a pairing in the next 3 or 4 years, like, that's a pretty legit, I don't know, Sandin's obviously got to go in that role a little bit more, but, like, that's a fairly legit deep number 1 D pairing, and then, like, just adding some of these guys to an already decent forward group, like, it's nothing really jumps out of the page at you, but another year of Strome there. He just got re-upped, more comfortable. Like, I think that this team can be, like, I think they could definitely make the playoffs again and have be more comfortable next year, not waiting until the last game of the season, pretty much. Like,
and they still got John Carlson back there too.
Yeah, and Brendan Duhaime, like, I think that's a low key nice add. Taylor Radish, like. They've done a good job of, like, having – there's so many guys on that team last year where it's like same thing with that Tampa fourth line. I was like, I don't even know who these guys are. Like, what the hell? And they've got a lot of youth, too. That Hershey Bears team has won the Calder Cup the last 2 years.
Back to back.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm excited to see what Logan Thompson can do with – like, that net looks like it's his, right?
Nah, Charlie Lindgren's there.
Oh,
whoa, he took the net. Whoa, what do you mean?
I know.
He's the reason Kemper's out.
No, I don't know. Hill stole the net from Thompson, but I really like that guy. I don't know, since
I agree.
And I'm at least give me a chance. Give me something to root for, Logan. Like, I don't know. And I'm way happier to do it when he's out in the East Coast than I am when he's in net with the Knights.
How about, like, a really good guy thing to do? You get traded, then you still go out and do an autograph signing with the Knights.
Yeah. Good guy move.
What a good, like,
century.
That's a professional. Yeah. Like, he's a good Western Canada boy, I'm pretty sure. You know, I think this Washington Capitals team has a chance to be, like, a pretty decent team. They're not a contender by any means, but I think they can be fairly good.
He's from Calgary.
There you go.
There you go,
There
Alburn.
you go.
He had a crazy journey to the NHL, I'm pretty sure. Like he was playing in like I think he was playing in U Sports, wasn't he?
Really?
No kidding.
Maybe
He
not.
was with U Sports.
Like he has a crazy way that he got to the NHL.
Wow. Then he was in the East Coast for a couple of years. Wow, good for him.
Do we go to our final team of the night?
Yeah.
Not
I
very
guess.
exciting.
This has been a journey. If you've made it to the end of this one, I mean, you deserve
you deserve everything.
so many purple hearts.
Oh my god, it's almost. Jeez.
I've got my girlfriend sitting downstairs right now. Probably gonna be pissed at me after this.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the
Whatever.
Winnipeg Jets. The final team of the night. Talk me through it. Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Yeah,
nothing.
kind of disappointing way to end this whole episode because I mean we waited for the end of this one. And
I think it stinks that they lost Monahan and Toffoli.
That didn't really do a whole lot to replace it.
Well, Ehlers is as good as gone too, right?
From the sounds of it, probably.
Winnipeg. We thought Winnipeg could do something this year in the playoffs. There was the talk of could they get past Colorado? What could they do? And that momentum that they had built over the last season is dead in the water. See ya. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So Winnipeg, go back to your blizzard shithole and sorry. Sucks to be you.
Damn. Yeah, Reece.
I think hot take. I think Hellebuck has cost this team a lot over the last few years.
Wow.
I think he's played some pretty fantastic hockey, like Vezina Trophy winner. He might win again this year. But you look at the year before last year, he played terrible after I think January. Like he went through a long stretch, and it went straight in that first round, and they lost again. This year, lights out. All of a sudden, runs into a Colorado team with like 4 guys that were beating him just every single time. It was like. I think that I have a really, really hard time justifying, like, he's got a lot of years left on that contract and a lot of money left on that. Same with Scheifele. I don't know if they're in the right direction to be paying a goalie $8 million. And I don't think it's just Hellebuck, obviously, but he definitely has not done his team a whole lot of favors when they really needed him to, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Yip situation, right? Like as soon as you get to the dance, all of a sudden everything you know about goalie and smell ya. Like it's almost incredible
to see what his postseason stats are. Like
they're rough, and like the last 16-ish.
Yeah, like I don't know. The last time they won a playoff series would against
Edmonton.
Yeah,
in the bubble, right?
Lights out then, but I mean, like.
And in that bubble, he was one that won them that series.
Yeah. Honestly, like shutting out, I think McDavid and Draisaitl had like 3 points in that series or something ridiculous. But I just have a really hard time like stroking off Hellebuck when like I really don't think he's done them a whole lot to help.
Huh.
It could definitely disagree. I'm not taking anything to heart, but.
It depends what you're thinking of it, because I think he's the sole reason they made the playoffs the last 2 years.
That's totally fair.
But you have to do it when it actually matters.
You can't just have a goalie doing it all.
Well,
for sure. And he shouldn't. That's the thing, is like he shouldn't have those expectations. Like, it's not like Bobrovsky is expected to be like the number 1 Panthers player, right? He's got,
and they didn't need him.
Exactly. So like you have to have that support, especially when you're paying Scheifele the same thing, and you've got some young guys, like you got Connor too, who's got he's played well, but they just need everything to finally come together. And like what I'm looking at right here for this offseason, it's like, where are you wanting to go? Like it's just they're getting into like a Calgary area where it's like just so many years of like mid that like there hasn't been much growth or decline at all.
Yeah. I can totally agree with that.
But fingers crossed. I think the NHL's way better when Winnipeg's good, and
they need it.
I love like an Edmonton-Winnipeg rivalry. Like I've started to actually dislike that team a lot. So this might be personal. Like I might be extremely here, but I think it'd be nice to see Velarde really step up and turn into like a huge guy. And if Kupari can, like, if basically all those return that they got from the Dubois trade can like really find their game and figure out how to stay in the NHL. I mean, obviously Velarde's staying, but Kupari especially.
Yeah. I have some Connor Hellebuck stats here if you want to hear them.
Give it to me.
Oh, let's hear.
Okay, so I'm going to do the last 3 playoffs. Give us a decent enough. We got 20 and 21, okay?
Okay.
8 games played. He threw up a .931 with a 2.2 goals against.
Great. That was the Edmonton one. Or yes, it would have. Yeah.
Those are unreal stats.
Then he lost in 4 games against Montreal. They swept, then got swept.
They missed the playoffs the following year. 22-23, plays 5 games, throws up an .886 and a 3.44 goals against.
Eesh.
Mm-hmm.
And now for the real trouble is this last year in 5 games, he threw up a .864 with a 5.23 goals against.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
but again, that is the Colorado Avalanche. He did face to give him some credit. That Avs team is electric. Nichushkin was absolutely elite that series.
Nichushkin on extracurriculars too. This guy's a freak.
He averaged more goals against in the playoffs this season than I think Corey Perry will score next season. So
whoa.
Yeah, overall,
what about Connor Brown?
No, Connor Brown's
average goalie though. He in his total playoff career, he's got a .910 with a 2.85.
Yeah,
not $8 million, but not terrible, right?
I'm trying to think. I think he's the Jets have only gone on one run in his entire career to the conference final. Yeah,
when Vegas went in their first year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was 17, 18?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would have been it.
There was 17 games played, 17 games started, 922 with a 2.36.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Ovechkin's
that's what you're looking for.
It is also kind of, I guess that they all of the everything coming into this year, aside from previous, when they beat Edmonton, obviously, he was riding a high in these playoffs, and then the following season, who'd they play that year? Vegas in that first round. He goes and has that kind of performance, and then they re-up it. They had to sign him, obviously, but they re-up him.
Hellebuck.
8, right? It's scary, I think, but he's a sick goalie, and I mean, he's probably going to win the Vezina.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
You can almost compare him to Bobrovsky.
Yeah. A guy that kind of lost his game for a little bit. And I mean, it's not like Bobrovsky was super insane when he was first starting out in Florida.
True. But maybe he'll go on a magical run. Who knows?
Hopefully Winnipeg can get some help around him, and it doesn't have to be so much of the Hellebuck show, right?
I think that wraps up,
boys.
One of the longest things I've ever seen in my life.
If you sat through that, bless your heart. Subscribe.
Do you not have anything better going on?
I mean, I sat here during the recording, and I don't even know if I sat through the entire episode. My brain was gone for half of that.
That was good though.
We went through it all from A to W, right? So
you guys might not even want the content we're putting out, but we're gonna put it out regardless.
You better love it.
And there's probably going to be more signings. I mean, we already saw a couple more today, and there's going to be more trades and extensions.
Podcast tomorrow. So
we didn't even talk about winners or losers. We'll do that next time.
The only winners are the people who are still listening and watching.
He's still here. There it is.
Winner. If you didn't, well, you're not here to hear this. You're a loser. But we move from there.
Yep.
Noah, take us away.
Yeah, we're probably done for the week. We'll be back next week. There's going to be a lot more news coming up nonstop. It's off season now. We're going to have a lot of big plans and whatnot. We're going to have some fun with it, right? We're going to have some fun things. I don't know. We talk about it. We kind of talked about it a little. Liam might have something cooking.
We're trying to get some stuff going on.
We've got some plans.
Yeah, just make sure you're subscribed.
We are well planned out. This is not something that we're just randomly going into without a plan. We definitely have a plan.
Make sure you're subscribed and following those social medias. That's the main thing, right?
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay, guys. Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Yeah. All right.
Peace out, guys.
Cheers.
That has been another episode of Around the Rinks, your go-to hockey podcast. We'll see you next time.